So you think you want to be a tour guide, huh? Well, I've got 10 things to know before becoming a tour guide. I'm Rick Snyder. I've been a tour guide in Washington, D.C. area for 12 years. And I want to just walk you through what's going to happen because I wish somebody had told me these things before I started. So anyway, please like, share, subscribe, or even comment on the video. Appreciate it. All right. Tour guiding is a great job. I really enjoy it. It has its great days. It has some tough days, I'll be honest with you. But overall, it's a lot of fun if you enjoy the subject matter. And the key to it all really is trying to keep it fun every day. Because this might be the only time that people ever see Lincoln Memorial in their lives. Might be my 100th time of the year. But you have to be able to give that energy. So number one, I'm going to tell you, you have to like talking to people and about events and have high energy. Nobody likes a boring guide on all that. I once was working with a new young guide, and I said, okay, here's how I start. I asked people where they're from. And the guide looked at me and said, who cares where they're from? You know what, buddy? This isn't a job for you, because asking a simple question like that might teach me, okay, in this kind of hot weather, are they from a cold weather state and they can't handle the heat, know how to adjust things? Are they from a state where we're going to go past something that relates to them? You have to be interested in people, and you have to be able to ask questions as well as talk all the time. So you better be able to enjoy people. It's not a kind of job you phone in. You've got to give it your best shot every day. Do you have that kind of energy? All right. Number two, are you a storyteller? Being a tour guide is not about remembering all the facts and figures. That this was built in 1924 at a cost of $16 million, has 32,000 square feet. That kind of stuff goes right past people the moment you've said it. They don't care. But tell them a story about this place. That's what they want to know. People want to know the backstories of things. They want to go see the side stuff. That, anybody can go in the front and tell them that simple stuff. That doesn't do any good. Give them a story. So are you a good storyteller? This is something you have to practice and practice and practice. I have a background in it, so it helped me. But you have to be able to do it. And you have to be able to project loud. I once worked with a young woman who wasn't very loud. And I said, louder. And she would try it. And I was like, you got to be louder because people can't hear you. And if they can't hear you, this is all a moot point. I said, think if you're yelling at your boyfriend, you've caught cheating with somebody. Start yelling at him. And she just yelled loud and then laughed. And I said, that's it. That's the tone of voice. You got to bring it up. There's a little tricks like that happen. So can you do that? Can you talk for hours on end? Nobody expects you to know everything. I've been doing this 12 years in a city I've lived my whole life in. I still don't know everything. Nobody does. But you do the best you can. And that's becoming a tour guide. It varies on where you are. Here in Washington, D.C. area, I have to have a license from the city. You pay it now. It used to be you had to take a test. You don't have to do that anymore. If I tour guide in Virginia, there's nothing that I have to do. But in D.C., I do have to pass, get my license. And then oftentimes you'll join maybe a guild, and that can require tests like it does in DC. So you're going to need to know something. A lot of places have a tour guide school. Maybe an old veteran guide is just teaching people how to do it. I very much recommend it on there. It's things like that that'll help you get started quicker. And of course, ongoing education. Listen, I've been a guide for 12 years. I still read stuff in the papers all the time about whatever. DC's not a museum. It's an ongoing living city. And things change with these monuments and things they're doing and stuff all the time. And it tells better stories. All right, what types of tours are you going to do? It varies. There's a million different ways to do tours. You could go work on one of the big bus companies. They don't pay as much, but, they do. You can work for all the school groups coming through, doing that. You can have your own private tours at different subject matters, like I do Lincoln assassination tours, or I do Embassy Row walks, things like that. There's lots of different kinds. What are you most interested in so that you don't burn out? I mean, the National Mall here in Washington, every guide starts out doing National Mall. And after you've done it a few hundred times, you kind of say, what else is there? Because you got to not be bored too. So think about, what are you interested in, where you're at? What would people be interested in paying to hear? That's the kind of things you have to do. What types of companies? Well, like I said, there's private companies, there's bus companies, there's corporations, there's any kind of business you can think of, conventions and stuff that hire you, hotels. There's lots of different places. One reason why I became a tour guide is that most tour guides are older. It's a second career for many. Not everybody. I meet some young people, but a lot of them it's second careers and retirees and stuff like that. And I thought, what could I do in the next 20 years that won't go out of style? And I thought, well, I'm not any good at IT. I don't want anything to do with medicine. But tourism, at least here in the Washington, D.C. area, is a sustainable thing. And yeah, it was a little hard during the pandemic, I'll admit that. But how often is that going to happen? Hopefully not again. So it's a good renewable. Every year is a new round. And that's a great part about it. All right, number 6, getting business. How do you get business? Well, there are a lot of companies that are looking for brand new guides because it's a numbers game with them. They have a lot of tours coming through. You go find these companies and go work for them. And then as you're around, things keep coming to you. I happen to belong to a guild here in Washington. They have a job board, and people just write in tourists, hey, I'm coming to town, I want to do this. And you send them an email saying I'd like to do it and whatever. And that's why I tell you, put a resume together, not so much of your business career, but just what you think you're good at as a tour guide and what you can offer. And that way it gives them a professional look and you look more prepared on those kind of things. All right, big money. Number 7, what do you get paid? Okay, that's $1 million question. But I'll just say this. If you go work for some of the bus companies, a lot of times they pay you $15, $20 an hour. Quite frankly, it isn't very good. And they'll go, oh, the tips are there. Nah. And there are companies that do free walks, so no one pays, but they tip at the end. Sometimes the guides do very well splitting that. Sometimes you get, you don't make much. A lot of times it's at least considered $40 an hour, 4-hour minimum. So $160, and most times you get tipped. Personally, tips I find run about 10% of the overall price. Sometimes much better, sometimes nothing. And it has nothing to do with you so much as it does the client. But there are a lot of tours now, and I've been doing this a while. I get at least $50 an hour. There are some tours I get paid $100 to do a certain tour. It takes less than 30 minutes, and I bang those out. So I'm making $200 an hour. Sometimes my own private tours, I'll make $400 or $500 for a 90-minute tour. It varies, but the money is good overall, and it's cash and ready to go. And you do pay taxes on it, so remember that. But I think it's an overall pretty good job, money-wise. Number 9, what do you want to specialize in? It's just what do you like? What is your background? I know lawyers who do Supreme Court tours. I know people who used to work in Congress can give really good Capitol Hill tours. What is your background on that? Might help. Military, they like to go over to Arlington Cemetery and be able to talk about that. So there's a lot of that goes on. So think about it. But private tours, honestly, are where you're going to make your money. Maybe you do the general tours for a year or two, learn your trade, and then it's worth doing. And finally, number 10. Can't tell you how many times on a warm spring day my friends will tell me, oh man, I wish I worked outside like you do. It'd be great today. Well, here in Washington, I always say it's a rule of thirds. A third of the weather is really nice. A third of the weather is okay. It's maybe hot or cold, but you can deal with it. And a third is just a mess. Raining all day, that kind of stuff. Does that bother you? If it does, it limits your potential. Also, walking. How much can you walk? Can you walk for a few hours on end, without really any breaks? I would tell you, practice. Start walking an hour a day just to do this. It goes a little easier when you're walking and talking, and maybe you're on and off a bus, you sit for a few minutes. But you have to be prepared to be able to walk, 10,000 steps in a day, sometimes more. My record was 24,000 in 100-degree heat. Whoo, that was tough, But you'll do days that are freezing. It's a job, like anything else. But by and large, the days aren't too bad on all this. So that's your basics on becoming a tour guide. I hope I haven't chased you away on this, because it is a lot of fun and it pays well. So good luck out there, and I hope you do well. I'm Rick Snyder. Best of luck to you.